Excellent. What's up, man? Did you just wake up? Or are you not feeling good?
Oh, I'm not doing well at all. Yeah, I haven't even been able to walk. I'm having a problem with my left foot a lot. And it's just, it's always kind of sprained. See, when I go to get up, it's like, it's too hard. And I strain on it, and I get like a sprained foot from just trying to get up, say, out of this chair. Bro, getting up out of other places fucking sucks. I went to a booth at a restaurant, got fucking stuck, had to push the tables around and make it work so I could get up and shit. It was, I honestly, I need like a wheelchair and a fucking and ramps, and I need like all that type of shit. But I've never been paid for any of my work. This is no different. Nothing ever is. You get paid for taking part in some crimes. That's what you get paid for in this country.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's true. That's true.
You have to give up like a lot to be a legitimate person. And you don't get there by just going with the crowd, thinking that the vote, oh my gosh. Somewhere I got a bunch of traffic to my channel, and it was just one like opinion after another, and it was just like, dude, what are you even talking about? That last video, I put the court hearing on the beginning of it, and so it was the same streams you did last week, but with the video at the front of it.
Excellent. I'm sorry, man. I've been busy. And I'm not blowing you off. I'm not blowing off the work. It's just, real life has got me just busier than a whore during the Republican National Convention.
Oh, yeah, I don't care. I mean, I don't do this for myself, obviously.
Well, I mean, we have it's important work, but I
haven't been able to even walk. My foot's all swollen up and trying to get up.
I'm sorry to hear that, man. That fucking sucks.
Oh, bud. 5 minutes standing up. So I'm right at the, bro, I'm on my deathbed, essentially. Fighting with these idiots.
Did you put in for a change of venue with these fucks?
No.
Yeah, you're going to have to do that. You're never going to get a fair hearing with these motherfuckers. They're just going to they're just going to do what they did to Chile. They're going to railroad you, and then you're going to have to appeal from jail if you don't get a change of venue. You need to change of venue in the worst way.
Okay. He's got no choice but to dismiss it.
We understand that. We know that is the case because everything they've brought against you, not only is it illegal and it's treasonous what they did to you, and they just continue to commit fucking crimes and shit, but they don't care. Like we've said, man, they don't care. They double down and they commit more and more crimes. You're going to have to kick it up until you find somebody who's not a complete criminal, somebody who's going to actually honor their fucking oath and do their goddamn job, who's actually concerned about being a real judge and not just some vindictive child with a robe and a gavel. Yeah. That's it, Well, that's what you're dealing with.
We are
children.
We are dealing with that. I kind of want to do a different type of thing today, actually, though, where I actually think that we need to teach people how to think at all. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So I'll share my screen.
At the time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all.
Here we go, Thursday with Kennedy Walker, and we're going to be talking about lead paint. You still there, bro?
Yeah.
I can't believe this guy has the fucking nerve to put Hunter S. Thompson as his avatar, because if there was a guy who was a thinker, it was Hunter Thompson. No matter what problem anybody can have with the guy, he was a thinker. He was a creative thinker. He didn't fall into any boxes, man. And this motherfucker is just, he's got some goddamn nerve using his face as an avatar. Some serious nerve. But yeah, so this is in reference to last week's show, correct?
Yeah. All right. So this, I don't know where all of these trolls came from, but I get a bunch of them. Guys, everyone needs to understand that this channel isn't here to stroke your ego and agree with the things that you believe erroneously. It's to point out the things that you believe erroneously. That's why it's here. So I know that people are not really used to that type of, like, basically a confrontational type of channel where I'm challenging your beliefs. I'm basing it on the actual laws and stuff. So let me see if I can open this. So
yeah, the problem is, man, look, everybody has been so deeply brainwashed by this useless socialist system of dummies that just go along with paying the bills for these useless fuckers that think they rule us when they don't. You know, it's clearly pointed out in the Constitution who the masters are and who the servants are.
Yeah, this guy here, he's a typical sovereign servant extremist, a leftist extremist, and he's here to support the Nazis. Literally, National Socialists. That's who he's here to support.
He's a supporter of terrorists, man. He's a terrorist. He's pushing a religion, and he's doing it in a vociferous way. You know, he's an ideological
zealot. Yeah,
he's a zealot.
It's about his beliefs and stuff. It's not about, like, reality. It's not about the truth. It's just about, like, his club or some weird it's all about collaboration and just scumbaggery, okay? So here's his point.
Scumbaggery, I love that.
Someone skipped the lead paint chips and drank the whole can. I'll give you credit. Your confidence you have, although 100% wrong, is astounding. Guys, this video is about how to think, okay? So listen, if you come up with a comment like that, you can do that for 80 years and never get better. But here's how you get better, okay? You can do your insult, fine with that part. Give you credit, confidence, you're wrong. All this is fine as long as now you follow it up with, you said this. Guys, this is a 90-minute video, and he can't come up with one way I'm wrong. One?
No, he can't, because he didn't watch anything.
So
he probably watched 5 minutes, and then he made his Fox News opinion. You know, his Fox News, CNN opinion.
Yeah,
you know?
the TV told me this, and that means that's what the truth is. Like, these guys literally get their beliefs off of bumper stickers. So it's like, it's totally crazy that they come in and, like, you need to hear my opinion. Let me ask you guys something. If I wanted to change my position, would this do it? Drinking paint and credit, and then you're wrong. You're wrong is essentially his point. So
yeah, it's easy to say that somebody's wrong, but you don't do anybody that you're talking to any kind of service unless you point out how they're wrong. Just like you say, it's about getting better. Right. You don't get, if you're sick, let's say you have a kidney infection, and you go to the doctor, and he says, well, you know, we're going to have to admit you because we got to put you on this all this regimen, blah, blah, blah. And then you say, I'm not going to let you put that stuff in me, and I'm not going to take any pills. I'm just going to sit here in the bed and eat hospital food. You're not going to get better. You're going to get worse, and you may fucking die because you don't think that you have to do what the doctor tells you to do. It's the same kind of thing. Unless you take the steps to get better, you're not going to get better. I don't
listen to doctors at all.
No, it's just a per se, man.
But your example, I understand totally.
Yeah, it's just a per se, man. You know, I don't trust doctors usually either, because
why would you? That's just not like you. They don't have anything to lose.
Right. Yeah, right.
Medical
they don't really
malpractice
care.
is the third leading cause of death in America.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
like heart
They call
disease first, and then the second one's car wrecks, maybe. I don't know.
Alcohol's up there. But I think you're right. You're absolutely right about medical malpractice and heart disease, because we eat too many bacon and banana peanut butter sandwiches. I mean, dude, there are listen, we live in a country where people at county fairs buy fried sticks of butter and eat them.
None of that's the problem. None of that is the problem. The problem is that all these people are earning money from not working, and they don't produce, and they don't have anything to do. Most of them are just scammers. Socialists are everywhere at these county fairs because guess what? We bought all their stuff and bought their house. That's quartering soldiers, Third Amendment violation. Anyways, let's get back to this. So he claims I'm wrong. So what do? I just say, no, I have everything right, which is why you don't have a rebuttal. Try and figure out who's stupid here. Guys, just speaking is going to help you improve your intelligence overnight. Just speaking better. Like here, if I'm 100% wrong, bro, this is a 90-minute video. You could have a list here. What's the problem?
Right. Make some salient fucking cogent points, or don't say anything.
But the publicly educated at this point is so bad. Bro, everyone's walking around like everything's fine. And I'm here to tell you the exact opposite is true. Nothing is fine. The majority is completely lost. Even the minority that thinks they know stuff, like, say, Long Island Audit or something, what a joke. I mean, seriously, he documents one crime after another, and he never presses criminal I think he has maybe once or something, criminal charges. But anyway, he's always trying to stand under some nonsense that's not law, and it's just ridiculous. Okay, so here's his response. It's pretty obvious based on your consistent failure from your other videos. Guys, what is my failure? I've arrested 35 socialists for crimes and sworn statements to the effect, and I proved that every socialist is an oath breaker in my entire county. Oh my gosh, what are my failures? What are my failures? Oh, well, they didn't take him into custody. Yeah, they're oath breakers, moron. That's the whole point of my book. It's called treason. They're socialists.
It's called treason. Us. Yeah, it's called a treason for a reason.
Yeah.
Treason for a reason.
They are not us. They are not on our team.
No, they're... Excuse me. I got some stuff from a dispensary that a friend gave me.
Stay on topic.
It's harsh. Anyway, yeah, man. How about some cogency here from this guy? There's nothing. You haven't. The only failure that you've made is by getting these people to understand. That's the only failure we've made. We've tried. You've tried.
I have no failures in anything that I've done. So this claim that I've got a failure.
That's true.
Just listen. When you become a real human being, then when you say you have failures, then you're going to list these failures. Okay? And then if you don't have a point, you're going to realize it before you even post your dumb comment. Okay? So you just speak better. You will instantly increase your intelligence by 300%. Like instantly. It's by how you speak, because then you're going to read it and look at it and you're going to be like, wait, that's a claim. Okay? So when you go through failure, that's a claim from your other videos, quite lacking in education or common sense. Bro.
Yeah, the only uneducated person in this equation is Paul Kemp.
Well, no, it's everyone. Americans are incompetent losers. It's ridiculous.
He represents a great majority, probably 75% of Americans.
He's just some publicly educated idiot. So, but hey, you're welcome for the views. What, your views count for me for something? What? These people are in some weird delusional world where everything is the opposite. Bro, channels like this don't get views. I ended the drug war just by pointing out it was treason and terrorism. Pointing out that it was a violation of religious beliefs. Oh, the drug war's not over. It is. It was over as soon as I pointed out it was treason. So now it's keep curing out your garbage one day. You might get the attention you so desperately need. What attention would that be? It would be like a person that's not complete gibberish. So I'm asking.
What's he talking about? Keep curing your garbage. What the fuck does that mean?
I don't know. There isn't a point in any of it. None of these words have anything to do with this video. None of them.
No, it looks like he's just sprinkled in some periods and punctuation there. Like he didn't even think about what he was writing.
This is 100% typical of these troll channel. When a troll channel does expose or whatever on my channel, this is what happens, is that they send over a bunch of people that can't make a point. The original video, whatever sent this guy over here, it was full of gibberish and nonsense too. It was just like, obey, obey, obey. They're daddy. That's daddy. Don't you get it? That's daddy. That's king. That's all they can really say. Okay. LOL. Oh, I'm chock full of self-awareness. This guy that hasn't made one reference to anything said in the video thinks he's self-aware. Guys, get it through your head that the people around you, like, I was struggling with this as a child, where I thought the people around me should know things. As a child, I was just like, what? So you're a farmer that runs all this shit and you have no idea about this thing I'm asking you about your job, about what you do? It was always so weird to me that no one fucking knows everything. But it's just, we didn't have the internet all those years ago. Now it's preposterous to be like this. But I get your projection spewing out that tired old sovereign citizen. Tired old. This guy's a sovereign servant believer. And he thinks that sovereign citizen is what? Ridiculous? Guys, the point of America is that there's no king. It's literally, that's America 101. All Americans are sovereigns. It's the most basic point to America.
Yep. What I find very telling is the fact that he points out how self-aware he is, and then he admits that he's not in the second sentence when he says, tired old sovereign citizen rhetoric, when we know in fact that he's the servant to the people who believe they're the sovereigns. He, just like you said, he's a sovereign servant, but he just, he proves how nonsensical and illogical his thinking really is, and that he's really just spewing a religious belief when he admits in his second sentence there that he's a servant.
Yeah, for sure, dude. You got it.
It's crazy, man. This is, I didn't learn how to interpret writing and how to, see the meanings in people's words without reading a lot of books and having a lot of conversations with people that know what the fuck they're talking about. And even if
I don't know where you're going to find those.
Well, I mean, I was surrounded, pretty much growing up by people that were pretty smart, and were anti-establishment. They understood that things weren't working properly. I don't think they understood the remedy, but they did know that things weren't going the way they were supposed to.
Nobody had access to this. You couldn't figure out all the case precedent. Back in the day, you'd have to buy these expensive tomes that the lawyers have in their offices to impress you. You had to do shit like that. But now it's just like, what is the role of case precedent? I can learn something like that because I'm a modern human being, but not these guys, what it is this is a type of person that's been brainwashed by his TV. You can tell because he can't make coherent points. He can't even respond to anything in the video. All my videos are about topics. So
they have a point.
Yeah,
there's
over and
always
over
a
again.
point.
It's about the place of warrants, the place of a judge, the place of the executive branch, whatever it is, there's one point after another, and this guy can't refer to one of them. He wants it to be about maybe daddy and mommy didn't hug you enough and are lashing out after kicking you out of the van by the river, making you have to seek your own government cheese. Government cheese has more to do with the topic than anything else, he said. For sure.
Wow.
But it's all about something else.
Funny, man. God, that is fucking hilarious, dude. That I don't know if you remember the government cheese, but I do, man, because
okay, yeah.
I remember my dad saying, "Well, I'm going to go pick up the government cheese." He said, "It's a good thing I only paid $20,000 for it."
That's funny.
So and this, and I told you that he flopped and he became this extreme right wing sovereign servant from that when he was younger.
A sovereign
Well,
servant.
he's crazy. Yeah, he's lost it, and he thinks
Look,
that
if you
the people
believe
that
in
are,
big government, that's left. Big is
that's
liberal.
leftist. Right, exactly. And Republicans are famous for spending the most money on shit.
Yeah, they are, because they're
Big
all
giant-
leftists. All of them are
Yeah.
leftists.
Big giant government organs like the DEA and the FBI and the CIA and the fucking Department of Homeland Security came in under a 100% almost Republican government. I mean, they had the majority, they had everything.
Yeah.
There were more Republican
they're both
governors.
leftists.
Yeah,
Make
they're all
no mistake
lefties.
about it. Every single election, both of the candidates tell you that they're leftists. One of them says, "I'm going to raise education spending by 10%," and the other one says, "I'm going to raise it by 15%. They're both leftists that are moving us big government. Oh, on the screen it's that way, but
Right. Well, yeah, that's everybody gets it.
okay. So I'm just asking. Sorry.
No, what I wanted to say was, look, these people, they think that they're voting for conservatives because they have this stand on the Second Amendment and that stand on abortion or this stand on welfare or whatever, but the fact of the matter is they're all lefties because they spend money on things like, who are the people at the airports?
TSA,
whatever. Yeah, the TSA, the NSA, DFS. All these things are, billions and billions and billions of tax dollars every fucking year for what? For armies of these retarded functionaries who don't even know what their job really is.
It's a leftist conspiracy to move us to communism and steal all our property. Every
Sure.
bit of it, including your body and your children. Every single bit of property, eventually they're going to take ownership. They already believe they own your house and your kid. What do they do with your kid?
Yeah,
Are you kidding
they
me?
throw them in prison for
Bro,
8 hours a day.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, guys, they are straight moving us. This is a whole big idea where every time you hear someone say something that's going to make the government bigger, you need to understand that that's part of the leftist conspiracy. And there's tons of
exactly.
Republicans or conservatives or Ben Shapiro's out there claiming to be conservative and spouting leftist nonsense, constantly supporting leftism, where no matter what it is, if it costs one more dollar, then that is moving us to the left. One more dollar, and that's $2 swing. Remember, the capitalist Americans lose $1 value, but the socialists gain $1. That's $2 swing towards the enemy. Guys, people that have declared wars on us. So I'm just asking him what he's talking about. Do you realize you haven't made a point yet? And you're still not making any sense? Guys, I've said that to so many people. It is preposterous that these people exist where they actually think that they have legitimate reason to speak, and then you ask them what their point is or what their argument is, and then they can't provide one. So I'm just telling him, go take your public education out on someone else. Guys, they raised you to be like this. Your father would never let you end up like this. Ever, ever. He would beat you if you tried ending up like this. But the thing is, he wasn't the one running your education. They ran it, and now you've ended up as this. Guys, can't you tell how obvious it is? Because this video has only got 5 likes. So where are the Americans? Bro, I always hear all these stories about educated Americans. It's bullshit. There
Still
are
there,
no
man?
educated. What, you can't hear me?
Oh, you were lagged out bad for a minute. Well, we are all, we're almost completely a whole continent away. So, you know,
Yeah, it's far.
we're literally like on opposite ends of the country. So we got some latency to overcome now and then. If that's, if the 2 or 3 times it's ever happened is all we get, I'm glad for it. Yeah, this guy, I'm reading ahead a little bit, and all he can do is come off with more ad hominems. He's just attacking you in
the worst way possible. It's totally not legitimate. It's not like, dude, these are not valid attacks. They're not, bro. It's a 90-minute video full of points. I probably made 100 points that are completely outside of what your beliefs are, and you can't list one of them. I mean, come on. Not one? Okay, so moving on. Now you're seeing what the rest of us think when we watch you. I'm arresting a police officer because my feelings were hurt. No, I've arrested him all for crimes, and I've sworn to that fact.
Yeah, the police were arrested because they were committing crimes.
Yeah, my servant showed up and wanted to commit some crimes against me, and I placed him under citizen's arrest under state law. It's the law.
And it's legit.
Okay, and these men took an oath to that law. Did they keep their oath? Of course not.
No, that's...
As soon as it takes from them, then it's out the window. Go ahead.
Yeah.
But more than likely, your brain is so rotted from the shrooms that big words bad. It's okay, princess. Your satire videos are entertaining, so keep on keeping on. Who knows? Maybe one day you'll finally move into that dream world of yours, if not Lifeways is only a phone call away. I don't know what Lifeways is. Do you?
No, Lifeways is like it's a drug rehab franchise. It's like
more socialism. Good job, buddy. More socialism, more government spending, so that you can go around and tell people what their religious beliefs and what their practices should be. Yep, good one. A lefty, guys. And you know what? You're like, oh, no one knows what lefty is. Brian Young has this new channel about the disturbing illusion, and it's about... Bro, he almost gets it, but no one gets it. They're all leftists, idiot. Big government is leftist. So that's what it is. No one really understands that. In the 1920s, that is, everyone understood that. That was the only way you could talk about the government was left and right. Okay, when you had a king that owned everything, that's full leftism. When the king was like, okay, now you guys have property rights, and I don't get to encroach on them because that's your property now, and I have my own role, and it's not your property. Now you're starting to move to conservatism. When you end up with a constitutional monarchy, that's way further to the right. I mean, on the screen it's this way. And then when you get to America, where they're like, no king at all, we're the king. Oh, by the way, you guys, none of you guys realize that. Such a fundamental point about America. No one gets that.
Yeah, nobody seems to understand it.
Bro, these auditors out here are so fraudulent that they're saying things like, that's an insult to call me a sovereign citizen. Talk about as lost as you can be. Anyways, just like this guy.
Wow.
Guys, we're in a land of the lost. The blind lead the blind here. So
yeah, he just keeps saying the same thing over and over again and just adding more ad hominems. He doesn't have a salient point.
No.
I don't think
public education, huh?
Yeah, well, no, this is what it is this is hatred. This is the same kind of hatred that breeds.
If you hate me, though, beat me, dude.
Yeah, make a fucking point,
bro.
Yeah, this is the kind of mentality that puppy kickers and flower stompers have. That's exactly what he is. He's nothing but a force of destruction and distraction.
Right.
He doesn't have any fucking salient points. He never makes another salient point. Yeah.
He's going to do this his entire life. I don't think people realize that these people are everywhere.
Yeah, at this point, I want to make a statement. This is something that I've been thinking about recently. There is a mental illness called sociopathy, right? Okay, a person is a sociopath. Now, if we put the two definitions, the definition of sociopath and socialist, the true definition of a socialist, there wouldn't be a whole lot of difference in those two. There wouldn't.
Well, according to the Milgram experiments, let's get some data on this. So 50% of men will take part in a murder for no other reason than an authority figure instructing them that we need to do it for the test. And then what it is 66% of females. So we're talking about, now, while people like Jordan Peterson will say it's like 3% of the population that is psychopathic, where they, literally will kill somebody for no reason type of thing.
Right.
3%, and he's a psychiatrist, right? Well, that's totally fraudulent, because the Milgram experiments have been repeated more than any other sociological experiment. They prove true over and over in every different locale. They just keep doing it in different places. And it's consistent that morality is like this: half of men and only 1/3 of women at best. And that, guys, that's a murder. So what else would they take part in? Maybe coming to your house and stealing your kids or something like that if they're not around and they don't have to look at it. Yeah, and that's what these people are. They're all psychopaths. They're everywhere. And the thing about the public service is that it really attracts them, because you can just get hired by filling out the paper.
Hold on a second. I hear a voice from the past.
There's a time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart, that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you've got to...
I don't really agree with that. It's like a gruesome thought, and it's like, dude, to tell you the truth, we don't need to do any of that crap. People need to start telling the truth. They need to get real. I mean, just like this guy, where I'm just telling him, are you so confused that you think you've made a point? You're a loser. Go away. I'm so far above you that I'm basically a god compared to you. It's not very hard to beat a complete zero. Seriously, 1,000 times zero is still zero. But if I'm just above zero, then I've been making progress this entire time. Well,
right.
He hasn't.
And they haven't. Right, yeah. These people that all they can do is attack. Well, Salvio is he's using allegory.
Back then, people were not completely brainwashed. The world back then was completely different, where people could understand government agents coming in and taking money from them and taking all the money out of the town or whatever.
Right.
Or stealing someone's property, or people could understand things back then. Now, through the public education, now no one gets it. They're just like, oh, well, it's the law or something, and then they accept it. They're like, well, the costumes, I know who's wearing the costume. That's literally how fucking shallow the people around you are. So when you're asking someone what their opinion is, you need to really understand that it is basically a fucking drooling retard that you're asking. Truly.
Absolutely.
They can either prove it or else they have nothing. They have literally nothing. So he says, go away? LOL. Nah, man. You've sampled your product so much you believe you're God. I don't believe I'm God. I don't take responsibility for creating this crap. But I'm saying the difference between me and you is where he can't make a point, I can't avoid making a point. You understand? Like, it's the light side versus the dark, and he's strong in the dark side, where he can just talk gibberish all day long. Bro, still, not even one word about any of my points. I don't care if he attacks my points, but he's just crazy, and he just keeps wanting to talk. Seriously, think about this, guys. We actually have laws to keep these nutcases off of us. Okay? And now they don't work anymore. Where I arrested a cop for creating a disturbance in front of my house and using emergency lights and blocking my driveways, and asked him for a warrant, and he started threatening me at my house.
All crimes. All those things are crimes.
To exist. And he thinks because some blinker did or did not do something that he's got a right to just show up and start committing crimes. Bro, delusional. And it's the average person So I'm just telling him, like, bro, you literally can't even make a point. You're at the level of an animal compared to me. In the same way that you can't say anything that is correct, I can't say anything wrong. And guys, I can't, because I'm going to think, wait a second, that's gibberish. Right? Because I'm going to have evidence for it. Bro, everything's going to be cited if it needs a citation. Everything.
Every
And-
single point.
And it's
but
because
he doesn't. If he's got a point to make, he needs to throw some bullets in his comment and say, here's what you said and here's how it's wrong. But he doesn't do any of that. He just babbles on and on and on and on about nothing. And he tosses out these ad hominems that just make him look stupid. And then he says, your understanding of the English language there, I've seen several misspellings, improper use of grammar, improper sentence structure in his writing, but none in yours. You know why? Because you have a high level of English comprehension. He doesn't.
I went to college and I took all the writing classes. Guys, what happens to you when you don't pay attention is this guy. I'm what happens when you do pay attention all throughout school, where it was like everything that they said, no matter how nonsense socialized education is, they are still telling us things. It's just that it doesn't absorb with you guys. But for me, you got to understand, these people either failed or they cheated off people like me in school.
Right. And in life, they'll start a business and then they'll get a bunch of work out of people and then they'll tell them all to fuck off on payday. I've seen it happen.
Right.
I've seen it. It's happened to me. I've had to put liens on businesses to get paid. But as soon as I put a lien on there and the mechanic shows up to put a chain on the door to lock them out, they want to get me paid pretty quick.
Hey, have you heard, maybe you know the name for this, I forget. It's like the 70-30 rule, where 70% of the population just does basically nothing and 30% produces all of the value and all of the substance. I think it might even be the 90-10 rule, where 90% are doing basically nothing.
Yeah, 90% produce 10% and 10% produce 90%.
And I've always tried to make it a point to be that 10%, where I'm the guy on the job site where he's there. That means that either textures being put up or papers are getting written or, whatever the project is, that I'm trying to be the one that's getting the shit accomplished. And that's why I've ended up the way I have. And that's why they've ended up the way I have. But so this is so common that I want to go over all of it, but it's just the same pointless shit. So I'm going to jump to this comment. Who taught you to speak like that? I'm going to teach you how to speak like a legitimate human being right now, since apparently no one has ever done it with you. Point out what I said was wrong. Give an example, any example you can possibly imagine. Cite your sources that prove whatever you believe to be true concerning that particular example. You're going to want to use things like laws or morality or your political positions. I don't mind if you have an opinion as long as you can state it and it actually means something. So do not endlessly claim the result for something you have not established, like you've done over and over and over again in this thread. It's not that hard to be a legitimate human being. So you really just need to put in more effort.
Yeah, that his last reply
answers everything, doesn't it?
It does, man. It proves every single thing that you've said and everything that you've written in this thread. It proves it all. He just keeps proving your point. He cite we'll cite the U.S. Constitution, all of it, not just your cherry-picked version. We don't cherry-pick anything in the Constitution.
That is such a weird argument.
I know, man, because we have never done that.
What works for him in any way? Nothing. He didn't state anything. So how?
No.
What?
No.
Bro, talk about delusional. Guys, These people are out there voting, and everyone's like, voting doesn't matter and stuff. And people cry about that. But you know what the truth is? The voters are fucked up. Don't take part in that crap at all. A president that stays in his lane is a president that was elected with 5% of the population's vote, where literally no one cares and no one takes part except for the Karens. They're always gonna, they'll always be there, but don't take part in it.
Yep. Yep.
This next election might be the dumbest election to ever occur.
Yeah, especially now that any kind of voice of reason or sanity in the form of RFK has flopped over into the Trump camp and given up on his campaign. I just can't, but as much as I like the guy, and I was, I can't say I was excited, but I was motivated by the things he was talking about. I didn't, when I've heard that he bowed out of the campaign or out of the run, it's not like I got this sinking feeling like,
I don't watch any of that crap. I didn't even know that Biden dropped out or what. I have no idea because I don't care. Let me tell you something. I will file criminal charges on that moron just as easily as the rest of them.
They're all guilty.
Why?
Yeah, they're all guilty.
Because you never see them, essentially, is the only reason not to. And they're protected by their chumps, socialists.
They're army of socialist thugs.
Think about how stupid Americans are, where we can have World War II against Nazis. And now, what are we? Bear, knock it off. Bear.
Yeah.
How dumb can we be? Vietnam was all about killing pinkos. Dude,
well,
now we hand our kid over to pinkos for brainwashing.
Well, that was the story, but the actual truth behind Vietnam was a lot more sinister than just all that murder that went on. It was about titanium, which basically lays on the surface of that part of Southeast Asia. You don't have to mine for it. You just dig it up out of the soil and then put it on an airplane and fly it wherever you need to make armor for tanks and shielding for nuclear missiles or whatever they use titanium for, which if you can get it up out of the ground, it's a lot cheaper than forging it or making a cheap copy of it. And we stole metric tons of that shit from Vietnam.
Well,
Vietnam,
what I think about Cambodia. That stuff is that you would have to be a pretty retarded businessman to do a worse job than spending billions of dollars on tanks and all this crap in order to get your titanium. Bro, just buy the fucking titanium. Like, what the hell? Pay 10 times what it costs. It could not possibly be more expensive than a socialist war. But the thing is, it's a scam to get us into full communism is where they take private property. It's the same as socialism, but it's actually quite different. There's a huge difference. No more private property.
Yeah.
And
well, socialism is a step below communism, and socialism has one of two outcomes. One outcome is communism. The other outcome is complete societal collapse, economic collapse, social collapse. Literally everything collapses. Those are the only two results you're ever going to fucking get from socialism, period. I've done a little bit of research, man, and that's all that ever happens. It's either a societal collapse or a complete shift into communism. Nothing else, no other outcome is possible without a bloody ass revolution. Nothing.
Yeah,
nothing.
Diesel. Look at Diesel over here. Look, he made a point in one line. How dumb are we thinking president executive orders apply to us? Yeah, you're right. They don't apply to us. They apply to employees of the corporation, and they're not laws. Yeah. So the employees, it's just it's an internal, bureaucratic type of situation. It has nothing to do with us, certainly. And what are executive orders? Well, the drug war started in an executive order. Guys, listen to us making all these points. Why couldn't old dipshit make a point? He just couldn't do it. For some reason, man, his belief system requires zero knowledge. And that's why he doesn't have any. He's not supposed to have any. It's just like the cops, where they're not trained in the law because they're not supposed to know the law. They're not supposed to be making choices. So
Right, they're not qualified or trained to make choices. That's not their job description. It's changed, obviously. There's a lot of problems. Obviously, everything in that cop system is twisted from the top to the bottom. All of it, every single bit of it is backwards ass. But that's what happens when you got socialists in charge.
well, these people are the ones that allow it, because make no mistake about it, this jury is going to be made up of literally half psychopaths. Think about
Yep.
that.
Yep.
And
you
so
can guarantee that every woman on that jury is gonna want to fucking throw you in jail.
yeah. Well, women love socialism because that's who pays them, and that's who, right? These women will own property and stuff, and it's just like, what have you contributed? Oh, well, she took it from some man that did contribute. He was out there, an electrician, wiring houses. Meanwhile, she was ruining her marriage and failing to do her duties. And now, even though, guys, a marriage is a religious ceremony, and the government has co-opted it into a government ceremony. So what is that?
Yep.
A separation of religion and state.
Yep. So they prove right there that they're a religion.
So where our wives are actually our property, they've given them these rights that work against us.
Of course.
In direct violation of our religious principles. They are given to us by their fathers.
Why does it seem to me like socialists just want to destroy everything good?
Well, because they
Everything
have
good.
zero ownership of anything until they start their plotting. And now they have power, and now they have property, and now they have all this prestige, and now they can, when you arrest them, they'll arrest you. They'll say, you arrested me, and I am better than you, and now look at all this stuff that I own, and these people eat it up. They go into the courthouse for jury duty, and they have a right to their property, but the jury duty, you saw it in my video, they took the phones of everyone handed it over. Does it really make sense to have people like that judging me?
No.
Not to me. It really doesn't. But is that better than the judge? Well, the thing is, I'm going to show the jury. Obviously, they have to just dismiss it, but we can't count on them honoring their oaths at all, right? Have
No.
any of them?
No,
All
none
of
of
my
them.
videos have proved conclusively that there isn't an oath keeper in the county or the state. Seriously, where's the FBI looking at my videos and arresting these people? I've filed FBI complaints on the people at the SSA. So what exactly is going on with these people? Well, the law is just to be used against Americans. It's a weapon.
Yeah, it's a club. Yeah,
for
it's
the
a club.
socialists to attack Americans with. And these people think it's okay. They think it's good.
Yeah, well, they don't really understand what being an American is. Okay, to me, and this is just my more base self coming through here. To me, an American is somebody who doesn't stand for bullshit and who complains endlessly and bucks the system no matter what if they think it's wrong. But there's not 20% of Americans that are like that anymore. There isn't even. Everybody's just like, oh, well, it's all good, man. I got my bass boat and my 5-bedroom house, and I don't know what you're talking about, man. Everything's okay.
It takes no action, though. It takes no sacrifice. All you have to do is tell the truth. It does take sacrifice. You're not going to get your socialist contracts and stuff. You probably won't be paying for that boat, to tell you the absolute truth. But you don't have to put yourself in jeopardy and go and fight with the cops at all. All you have to do is tell the truth when somebody's like, the cops are doing this. Oh, that sounds like a war against our religious practices. That's all we have to do. That's it. Oh, the drug war. Oh, that's treason. Oh, they want more spending, government. That's leftism. That's socialism and communism. We need to stay away from that. The thing that made America good was conservative, when the government had no part in anything. And you were like, oh, well, yeah, but sometimes people would get... food poisoned, in their batch of, goods, or they would, whatever, without all this government regulation. But the thing is that that's what conservatism is that we're saying a private industry could regulate. Obviously, the government needs to start minding its own business, which is to defend our liberties, and that's it. So not to go and attack random countries, not to fund all these wars. Dude, what in the world? Paying a foreign country?
Yeah, it's insane, man. Yeah, you're talking about Ukraine. I mean, we've done. It's what we've done throughout. Yeah, it's what we've done throughout. We even did it in World War One. We gave money and material support to France, and we have had embargoes against Germany and blah, blah, blah. Before we committed any troops there, even though the president, Woodrow fucking Wilson, got elected by pounding on his lectern and saying, I will not send our boys to Europe to fight in this war. But what did he do? He turned around and...
Listen, that's fine what he did. The sin is the American people calling that the greatest generation for falling for a bunch of fucking Nazi crap, becoming Nazis so that they could go fight Nazism.
Yeah, it makes lots of sense, right?
And then these guys are spreading around this concept that Nazis are right wing. You think Hitler was an anarchist? No, none of that crap happens with anarchy. It all happens with leftism, though. And it's the eventual... Yep. It's a guaranteed eventuality with leftism. It always goes to wars and starvation. And
can I just want to address something here. Now, I'm basically an anarchist. I'm a constitutional anarchist, which there's no conflict between those two concepts. No. There's no conflict between anarchy and the supremacy clause at all. That's my first statement. My next statement is, okay, during World War II and the struggle that was going on in Spain that was predominantly fascists until the anarchists came in, right? There was a heavy anarchist influence in the, what are the guys, the freelance military, I can't remember, International Corps or something. No. Independent. Anyway, they came
or something. Or
no, they were no. It was like just they were independents. They were not mercenaries. They spent their own money to go fight on one side or the other.
We're talking
and they
about
were fighting,
World War II.
No, World War II, right?
Oh,
or
okay.
pre-war. Okay. The anarchists basically won, and they pushed out the fascists, right? And then the fascists started building up. The anarchists had everything running. They had the telephones.
Fascism means the unequal application of the law. So this here is fascism that I'm dealing with.
Franco, okay, he was a socialist. Let's face it, he was a socialist. They were fighting against Franco. Anyway, Franco starts building up all these forces. He's getting auxiliaries from Germany and Italy and everything to come here and fight and take back Barcelona. So the anarchists accepted a mutual aid with the local communists. And what did the communists do? They fucking betrayed them and shoved them out in front of the invading army, and they all got killed or had to run away, basically, instead of putting up a fight. So there's no love lost between anarchists and communists, man, and the extreme far left.
Left means that you believe in government ownership over the people, and right means that you believe in the personal ownership over the government. And in America, we own the government, regardless of all these idiots and their beliefs.
Yeah.
Why
do you have to
truth.
call us servants? That's so demeaning when you call us servants. Well, you are in public service, which means that you are a public servant.
Yeah, go learn to plumb houses and get a real job, honestly.
Yeah, or shut up and do what you're supposed to do, servant. Yeah. Get back to work.
Truthfully, we need to change this whole setup where the budget is like... Because here's what it is, man. All Americans would be making like 5 times or maybe even 10 times their wage if we weren't funding all this crap. It's literally orders of magnitude on our current salaries. Imagine that so here in Oregon, the minimum wage is $15 an hour. Well, without the government taking all of the money that it takes, you would literally be looking at like $75 an hour, $90 an hour And what could you accomplish with that? A lot. But instead, what's happening is that the leftist is accomplishing a
society
lot of
would get
evil.
Yeah, they're just sucking money out of what they consider an endless pot, and meanwhile, Mary Jo down the street with 2 kids and a husband that works 2 fucking jobs can't afford to, buy a chicken for Sunday roast or something. I mean, that's just
fucking people. I have no appreciation
they'll still,
for the average
No,
American.
I'm just making a point, man.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just making a point. And if they would do away with all this socialist extortion called tax, this first of all, income tax needs to go. Income tax needs to go, man. Sales tax, come on, man. Really, like, you levy when you need money. You don't just levy constantly and keep increasing it. And when you levy, that means that you need our permission to take that fucking money in an election, right? Like a local school levy or something. Property owners vote on that.
Do I have the right to take your money from you?
No.
Okay, so then how does me voting to take your money change the fact?
It doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
And so that's why if you're going to follow the truth, it has to be conservative. Now, anarchy itself, full-on anarchy, that has got problems. But as far as what we're facing today, those problems are like life and death versus, what the problems in anarchy are? It's like not having legitimate building codes and which is tough, man. How do you buy a building if you don't know? It's up to code, right?
Right. Yeah, and anarchy, a finer point anarchy will be like, man, you can't tell us how to build our homes. No, but I can tell you how to build one that's not going to catch on fire or fall down or collapse in the first 8 inches of snow that falls.
Well, to me, we have
so
building.
Take your pick.
What it is we just have building inspectors. Today, they're government. If we were conservative, if America was what it was supposed to be, conservative, then those would be private companies. Because remember how we want to create jobs? And yet here the government is taking all of the jobs and ruining all of the free market. Create jobs. Guys, the point of life is to work yourself out of jobs that you don't want to do. And you move on to accomplishing other things. That's the whole point.
Right. You find something that you like doing. Something that you like doing, something that's creative, something that benefits society somehow.
They'll hire a bunch of ship workers and put a port to work building all these warships, and they'll say, we did good because we put people to work. And now we've got all these weapons to kill a bunch of people with. It's like every single way that they're going about things is backwards, and that's why all it takes is telling the truth, so that when somebody gets arrested, that everybody around is just like, he just got arrested for free speech. Hey, didn't that man have a right to assemble? Hey,
yeah, didn't you just violate a bunch of rights? Didn't you just commit a bunch of crimes against this guy by touching him and giving him orders and thinking you could interrupt his business? And
right.
You think you're going to sequester his speech? Fuck you, man.
Yeah,
I'm going to stand right here and filibuster.
All it takes, one cop tells one person to stop filming and everybody else pulls out their phone. Do you understand that it's as simple as saying that you do know what the hell you're doing here? It's written down. We've already got laws. They're written down. And so now you're going to go by that, regardless of the costume these people are wearing. Well,
it's great. It's insane. It's insanity, man. It's like you say, everything is backwards in a socialist society. There are only 2 outcomes in this thing, and that's ultimate destruction or pure communism, which is the same thing. And once a population is repressed by a communist regime, even though they might outnumber them 1,000,000 to 1, and they could take it all back over with sharp sticks and stones. They don't, because they're just robots. They've been taught to do what they do, and they've been taught to benefit the party. It's the same thing here, man. It's just got a different face. It looks better. It doesn't look as bad as North Korea or China.
Well, at this point now, if let's say that some people made a revolution, it wouldn't help eventually. Because no one understands what leftism is nowadays.
Right.
So that means no one understands what the problem is. You know, the reason you have theft in your neighborhood is because when you go to work and try and get paid, you work all day long and you end up with enough to pay your motel room, and then maybe like $15 to get you through the next day, and you just realize this is going nowhere. I could do this forever, and I would never even save up for a deposit on a place to rent to get my rent down or something like that. And the problem is the socialism, because as soon as that person's now making $90 an hour and they work a full day and they're able to get enough together in 1 day or 2 days to pay a deposit, now we're talking about upward mobility, where the people can actually start using these funds to like improve their lives, maybe buy machinery that's going to help them to automate something or to reduce labor or something. But as it is, since we are being just absolutely robbed by these people running around to commit what they're doing is committing crimes. What they're pretending to do is prevent crimes. So, I mean, it literally couldn't be any further from like just a con job. Couldn't be any further in every... Bro, my book is about one instance after another that guarantees that what we're looking at is a concerted conspiracy against every single right that exists. Everyone's walking around like everything's fine. They'll ask someone an opinion as if they have any reason to believe that the person they're talking to would have any knowledge at all. You can't get any knowledge from that guy in that thread. I want everyone to understand how typical that is. And I actually ran into this before when I was investigating the flat earth and figure out, is the earth flat? And you know what I found out? No matter who you talk to, no one knows anything. No one has any personal experience. Nobody has any scientific evidence. Nobody has it. Dude, it is like laughable. Because at the end of the day, essentially, every single belief an American has is just gibberish. And it was just given to them in most cases.
It's nonsense. Yep. Yeah, it's nonsense. You know, they teach us to worship nonsense as canon. You know, it's... Jesus Christ, man. Canonicity, man. That's what it is. It's all about the canon, and the canon is socialism, and socialism is theft. It's extortion. It's crime. It's
Did your teachers teach you what a National Socialist was? I wonder why.
Right.
I wonder.
They didn't want you drawing any parallels.
As soon as you realize that the teacher is a socialist, and then you think about all these Nazi documentaries and no one knows what an actual Nazi is. Guys, it's German shorthand for National Socialism. It's like national, it's a cognate, and then socialismo or something like that. It's German for socialism. Nazi.
Well, yeah, you know, it was Hitler avowed that he couldn't say socialism enough.
Yeah.
Whether he was using that exact word or not, he was still talking about nothing but socialism. And socialism is where you steal from everybody else. And so what did he do? He put on the Blitzkrieg and he started stealing land and stealing populations and stripping their wealth and
Right.
putting to the sword anybody that stood up against them.
You know,
and
I
then-
think where people get confused is that he went to war with Stalin, which is a communist, and people think now that they're enemies, Nazis and communists. No. It's the same shit.
yeah, they're just two different gangs fighting over turf. That's all they are.
Yeah, exactly. And they don't have any loyalty to the other leftists because the other leftists believe in their government, the Russian government, in other words.
Right. You know, here's a perfect example would be Czechoslovakia, man. You know, like the Czechoslovakian people suffered just as much, or maybe probably more because it lasted longer under communism than they did from socialism on the fascist side, you know, the German brand of socialism. Okay. But somehow they were liberated. They called all of those Eastern Bloc countries liberated. How the fuck were they liberated when they were thrown from one pot into another that was boiling just a little bit hard, you know, rolling just a little bit more with a boil than the one they were sitting in before? Come on, man.
What they do to legitimize it is to make these councils. So the USSR means United Soviet Socialist Republic, and Soviet means council. So your city council, I had this American soldier tell me that he was a veteran and he was going to protect me from the USSR. And I told him, you are the USSR, United Soviet Socialist Republics. Soviet is council, like your city council, guys. Your state legislature, these are councils.
It's a council, yeah. What do you call lawyers? Counselors, council.
Well,
yeah.
I think that's...
It's not. It's sort of a different meaning. I mean, the words sound the same, but they are different meanings. But still, they're in the same fucking stew.
Yeah, it has to do with so that's like cooperation type of thing, other words.
Sure.
And then, yeah, you can break down these words and figure out kind of what they're saying. Words were created by God at the Tower of Babel when he created original language and then he split the languages, I should say.
Right. Language of the birds, and then Slavic and African and Asian, and everybody started making their own languages after God took away.
No. They don't make their own languages. They all come from... So like us and Spanish, we have a lot of similarities. There are a lot of cognates, which means words that sound the same, like educación or education, right?
Yep. Yeah. Well, yeah. Right.
We talk in a backwards way, though, from them. We put our subjects and our prepositions and stuff in a... I never really got fluent with that, but I have taken Spanish, too, in college. So I've learned quite a bit about deciphering these words by taking a language. So it's always a good thing, I would say, even though college is a hard way to learn language. People learn it faster just by immersion than anything else.
You're using it, you're exposed to it. That's exactly what I was going to say. You know, like when I was a little kid, you know, like I heard all kinds of different languages, man, because my parents spoke English. The people that we lived with who basically took care of me all day with my mom were German, and they spoke German together. So I was listening to German and English. And then mom would go visit her friend in France and take me with her, and then they were speaking French. So I started picking up French, you know. I mean, not that I can decipher a few words now, but it's exposure.
I had one teacher that spoke, I think, like 8 or 9 languages, and it's
That's
because
incredible.
of these. It isn't because they're similar. What's really incredible is when people can speak, you know, one of our languages and then also something like Mandarin. Because
an obscure language, or even Latin. Dude, Latin is such a cool language. I wish I knew it better. But anyway, that's
I have
neither
a friend
here nor
that
there.
majored in Latin. It's a dead language.
Latin is a dead language, but it's a good language, and really, it's not dead because a whole lot of our languages have deep roots. Every language on earth has roots in Latin. Every single one.
Yeah, but while I
That's
might be
just all
able
there
to
is to it.
translate some words from other languages because of my background, as far as actually understanding what the message is, that requires some specific study into it. And
right, yeah, you know, it's easy to parrot, but and make yourself understood. But the hard part for me has always been thinking in German instead of thinking in English and speaking German, thinking in French and then speaking French. That's what's hard for me. That's why I don't,
German, their sentence structure is basically the same as English. And so
Yeah,
once
it is.
you transfer out the words for German, I think German would be actually pretty easy for us to learn. Whereas Spanish is kind of hard for us to learn because it's like backwards kind of.
Right. Well, here's what the word says, that at Babel, man was basically getting too big for his own britches, and he saw that this 100% cooperation was God saw that 100% cooperation was a bad thing because it made man willful in the extreme, to where he was challenging God by building that tower. So what he did is he took away the language of the birds, which is what every human being on earth spoke from time immemorial up to the Tower of Babel. All spoke the exact same language, no matter where you were at on earth. He took that away from us, and then he gave us all those other languages. And that's why everything was thrown into confusion, and the whole project was abandoned, because, 90% of your workforce is like, we're leaving. We're going to go over here and do something different because we don't understand you. Understanding is really what we're all talking about here. These people that attack you or anybody else with these, they do this ad hominem bullshit. They're not understanding. They're not comprehending. It's comprehension. Negation is what we're fighting against here, man. There's no cognition in most of these people, and that's the problem. That
Spending your life attacking somebody over gibberish is like the
it's crazy
worst choice you could possibly make.
Yeah, it's insane, man. It's insane.
I've been talking to him. Chili's like, just ban him. And I totally see what he's saying, but I kind of like how stupid their comments are. I mean, bro, there are no arguments against what I say. So
all they have left is ad hominem. They don't have anything else but attack. That's all they can do.
Yeah, it stands as its own evidence.
Well, and that comes back to willfulness, man. That's a willful magnetism to nonsense on their part.
A lot of these people's livelihoods depend on socialism, they think. They do think that. They think that without socialism that they won't whatever. With women, it's all about these alimony checks continuing and stuff like that. And that's a huge part of it. That's more than half the voters. And all we can really expect them to do is vote in their own self-interest, which you hear women constantly on these street interviews or whatever, and they'll say things like, I want to vote for her because it's a woman. Bro, my mom says the same type of thing. She's said it her whole life. And when somebody tries to say, well, this policy, like my uncle or whatever, this policy means this and that, I don't want to hear it. She's a woman.
Well, it's groupthink. It's group loyalty. It's socialism. It's definitively socialism. No matter what, kind of tribal think that you're talking about, like I identify with this and
women
blah, blah, blah.
are deeply embedded with the socialist.
Oh yeah,
deeply.
Yeah, and they love their organized sports. They're all about this football team or that baseball team or this hockey team or whatever. And that shit's all just distraction. Well, the women do it. Women do it too, man. Women are just as extreme.
Interested in? I don't see women with any actual hobbies. Do you? I see women getting run around and like just going back and forth and just. I don't know what kind of women
I live in a different. Yeah, I live in a very different environment. Apparently, the women that I know out here where it's rural, they're all doing something useful. They're tending a garden. They're tending the chickens. They're foraging in the woods for mushrooms or whatever. They're not useless. They do something.
By their dad or something? Or what?
No, they do something because they grew up out here and they understand that at a certain time of year we're going to get this from the woods, and then another time of year we're going to get this. I mean, you got to get after it because you only got maybe 24 hours and then it's gone.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you another perfect example of an atypical woman. The woman who lives 2 doors down from me, she has she's got a bunch of livestock, okay? And what she does is she raises and she takes care of them, but she also does birthings, right? Like she's like certified to help horses give birth, right? So she's helping with all these thoroughbreds out here that they're raising, and the quarter horses, very popular horses in Ohio, and for anybody that's doing any kind of herding action out west, perfect horses, the quarters anyway. The thoroughbreds, they're good for show and racing and all that, blah blah blah, which is socialism, sort of. But she does like
I don't think
carriage
it's necessarily. I mean, the socialists got its
Some of
hooks
it
in
is.
everything, where
Yeah,
they're
right,
always trying to
yeah.
regulate everything and always trying to.
Exactly,
But I think just
exactly.
racing would be like just private entrepreneurial venture.
Sure. So what she does is she has this like Cinderella coach, right? And she does weddings and birthday parties and special events and stuff like that. And but she does all the work, right? Like she's industrious, man. The horses.
I agree that if they're raised in the old style, sure they can end up.
Right.
But I'm kind of talking about these millennials that are just on their phones and just literally
Yeah, they think-
just like this guy, like, okay, Kennedy, what am I gonna say? I was like,
Yeah, they think that putting together charm bracelets is some kind of a useful hobby.
right, and they just run around voting so that they can get
Right. And they
More
don't
stuff.
even make they don't even make the bracelets. They take the money that their boyfriend or their husband gives them, and then they pay an exorbitant price for these little trinkets that they put on a chain that they wear on their wrist, and then they lose it when they're at the beach. That's the kind of nonsense that you're talking about. That's like a perfect fucking example of what you're talking about. I had a girlfriend that was all about these charm bracelets. And she's like, look at this. I paid $200 for that. And I'm like, that's stupid. Why would you pay $200 for a little floppy thing that's on your wrist? That's retarded. Why don't you go to the bead store and make your own shit? Go buy some beads and some materials to make the clasps and, to ornament them and wrap them or whatever. And do it yourself. Go spend that $200. Give that $200 to somebody that's actually providing a service that makes beads and puts together all these different things.
For her, it's probably don't take the $200 from whoever earned it in the first place.
Yeah. How about that? Yeah.
Now, I agree
yeah.
that your examples of these women birthing animals and stuff like that on the farm, the old way, the way that worked. Yeah,
Right.
that way. No, I agree. Those ones are earning money, and it's possible she earned, but they don't. Is the thing. They don't, and so.
Yeah,
I mean,
the majority.
They
the majority
don't build
doesn't.
houses, and so
No.
they need a house, and so now it comes. It's just, bro. It's scams, and it's like, oh, that's
Yeah.
a third divorce. And she got a portion. That one. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
Get a
After this one, I'm
job.
gonna. Yeah. After this one, I'm gonna be able to afford to move to Rodeo Drive. I'm gonna move to Laurel Canyon in a $5.7 million mansion.
Yeah. Wants half of it, even though it's the other one that's doing all the work and running the business or whatever it is.
Yeah, I'm going to steal all this money from this man, and then I'm going to sit around in the pool, getting a suntan, drinking champagne, and popping Valiums on his dime.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do.
Women can do well as long as they're in their place. It's not that I just don't like women because they're women. It's that I don't like what's become of all of our society, including that was a guy that we were just talking about. I mean, so
Yeah.
he's every
right.
bit as incompetent as a woman that would be, a similar background and belief system.
Yeah.
It's equally shit, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, man, I got to get up for a minute. So on this little segue, I'm going to play a song. Let's take a little 5-minute
you know
break.
what? Let's do a little something different. And
Okay.
let's are you going to be available in a little bit where we'll do another show? I'm going to show you my workflow on filing some criminal charges. So I need to get it done for the SSA thing, which I should have a federal criminal complaint somewhere. I don't know if I'll be able to find it, but Probably just feed that into ChatGPT. Also, we can have other people. We can open it up. That document. Let's see. I guess I need to do a criminal complaint on both the judges. Do I expect somebody to honor their oath or something? No. Oh yeah, here I got this document. Okay, just before 11 a.m., January 3rd, 24, I was at the Social Security Administration building in Ontario. Responsible parties, security guard McCracken, disorderly conduct, conspiracy against rights, deprivation of rights under color of law. Sergeant Walker, disorderly conduct, seizing a citizen without a warrant, moving them, constituting kidnapping. Officer J. Jones, Oregon, physical harassment and disorderly conduct, conspiracy against rights, deprivation of rights under color of law. Unnamed OPD lieutenant, disorderly conduct, conspiracy against rights, deprivation of rights under color of law. Unnamed office staff that sealed the office because I invoked my right to remain silent for disorderly conduct, conspiracy against rights, deprivation of rights under color of law. So there's a video of this on my channel. Oh shit, this is a lot of pages.
It's pretty egregious, man. I watched it. Those people were just all the way out of line. They were so fucking out of line. They were a French curve, man.
Yeah, grabbing hold of me and just all sorts of nonsense. Like, dude, you don't even have a report of a crime or anything. Absolutely preposterous.
Yeah, they're out of their fucking little pea brains, man, for sure. They're out of their minds.
So I went in and said I needed to check the status of an appeal and signed in on the computer. The security guard wanted to ask me questions, and I told him I invoked my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent, and I'm not going to answer his questions. And he started throwing a tantrum. He shut down the office, violating my right to services in my public building, and whoever was in the back part took part in it as if something was going on that everyone should be afraid of, which is causing public alarm. He called the police and reported that I was being disorderly, even though that was a blatant lie, which constitutes the disorderly conduct itself in false reporting. So that's a state charge. Did I report this to the feds? I think this is the document that I pasted to the feds. Security guard was physically agitated, and I would say on the edge of tears. Do you remember it?
Yep.
Army
yeah, he was really upset. Yeah,
Army
he was
bitch,
really
oath
upset.
taker, oath breaker too.
All of them were upset.
Yeah. Oh, he was upset. It was personal to him. It really mattered too. He was shaking and possibly on substances, exacerbating his emotional response. I can't say it was drugs for certain, as this may be normal for him to act out and demand everyone answer to him like some sort of king. I don't know why so many servants believe they are kings that make the decisions around here, but that is not what America is. I consider this type of behavior delusions of grandeur out of the servant. When he doesn't get his way, it damages his ego so completely that they lose control. He kept telling these different supervisors that he was calling, that he was doing an administrative check or something, which doesn't have anything to do with me since I'm not in his administration. I'm a citizen. For some reason, the security guard believes that I am under some administration's rules and I don't have constitutional rights. So his understanding of the law is so poor that I don't know what he was talking about. This extremely poor level of education certainly has something to do with why the security guard became so frightened and physically on edge. It was like he had never heard anything about the government's actual place in our society. Almost like he was from a different country or something like North Korea. I don't understand what kind of a cave you'd have to be living in not to understand things like freedom of speech or the right to remain silent with our government. But that seems to be where this deranged loser has been living. Hey, bud. I lawfully trespassed the security guard multiple times for committing the crime of disorderly conduct in this public building. So he needs to be charged with trespassing with a firearm. That's a state charge. I know he works there, but that doesn't give him an excuse to commit crimes and I lawfully trespassed him as soon as he did commit a crime against me. That is also on camera. Make sure the firearms enhancement is on there because this man should not be carrying firearms ever again. Yeah, he's got a right to Second Amendment with his government, but now he's committed a crime against me with a firearm. And I'm not his government. I'm the complainant. I'm going to explain the law because a lieutenant on scene had no clue what the very first law of the land was. So you're probably not going to understand what I'm about to tell you, but this is the way it works. We have inalienable rights that fall under the Supremacy Clause found in Article 6. Those laws count every day, all day long, everywhere you're at with the government. Anyone I employ carrying a badge and a gun is going to uphold those laws to the exemption of everything else because anything else does not apply to the citizen. The 14th Amendment says Congress shall make no law abridging federally protected rights. So if you come up with a law that I have violated with my speech, then that law is null and void. And most laws fall into this category. My freedom of speech can never constitute a disturbance with my government, and invoking my Fifth Amendment right not to answer questions is even more laughable, which happened in this instance. So I didn't answer questions. He said it was a disturbance. So think about that. I have a right to speak. Meanwhile,
an inalienable right to
meanwhile,
speak.
I didn't speak, and he said that was a disturbance. My status as a citizen. Go ahead.
No, that's just another case of them doubling down, man. They don't know how to admit that when they're wrong. They just want to, they want to deflect everything that they do onto somebody else.
Yeah, for sure.
That's another hallmark of the socialist. Blame everyone else for what I do.
Right. Projection. That guy said projection. Well, this is where that type of thing actually applies. Right? So
crazy.
My status as a citizen is that I can be a complainant against a servant, but the servant cannot be a complainant against me in their official capacity. I didn't commit any crimes against any of these people in any way, so they couldn't be complainants against me anyway. What I'm saying is, in a personal capacity, they couldn't even be complainants against me. But they schemed and conspired to pretend like I had committed a crime, which could be considered slander or libel if it was ever written down in a public record, especially since such accusations are wholly fabricated. Right? So those are civilly, so I could sue them for writing this stuff down, writing these reports about their lies. Right? You say that I'm creating a disturbance by not speaking? Yeah, okay.
You're causing a disturbance because you won't do what I say. That's
I
the
asked
proper
you questions
verbiage.
and you didn't answer, so now you're committing a crime because I'm the king. That's what he believes, and that's what everyone basically goes along with. And apparently believes it's the sovereign servant movement. It's these radical, anti-American, just leftist.
Lefty, commie, socialist pinkos.
Yeah, they're fascist too. They believe that these laws only apply to Americans, not socialists, because they're on a team against you. So when Ontario PD showed up, I went outside so that I could get security guard's statement on recording, since we can expect nothing but lies from public servants. And he already called me my invoking of rights argumentative, which is why I asked for his immediate supervisor, to which I was denied, violating my First Amendment right to seek redress of my government. The police used this as an opportunity to block the door for me re-entering Social Security Administration, and one of the officers grabbed hold of me and pushed me back while I was trying to enter the doorway. That was Jones. This is a seizure without a warrant, which is the Fourth Amendment violation that every officer took an oath to protect with his life, as well as both disorderly conduct and harassment by state law. I placed each officer under arrest for harassment that touched me, and the third officer preventing me from going in the building as well. So I want all three officers charged with disorderly conduct. I already made the 2 arrests, the 2 harassment and 3 disorderly conduct charges, as well as 1 PPA for disorderly conduct charge for the security guard. The men under color of law threatened me that if I physically took custody of any of the perpetrators, then I would go to jail, violating my 4th and 14th Amendment right against warrantless seizure and to equal protection under the law, as well as the state statute on citizen's arrest. The lieutenant also disrupted my lawful business by trespassing me for no lawful reason, like committing a crime. This brings it to 4 officers, 1 lieutenant, 1 sergeant, and 2 officers, as well as the on-duty security guard, at the Social Security Administration that disrupted my lawful business with callous disregard for the law and need to face criminal charges. I am severely physically handicapped and have balance problems. I believe pushing me could be considered up to attempted murder. But either way, I do want an enhancement for physically manhandling a disabled man who did not commit any crime at all. A judge is required to sign a warrant to seize me. So these police officers believe they are judges and they make on-scene choices. But the problem with that is their knowledge of the law is so pathetic that they are not qualified to make legal determinations, such as probable cause. Guys, that's 100% true. This isn't AI. This is me speaking. I don't know if you can tell the difference.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, AI would do a bit better at sentence formation, intros, shit like that. I basically just, I speak all this stuff, guys. So this is just me speaking. And this is the type of thing that I come up with. The sergeant, who was one of the men who touched me and dragged me away from the door with force, kidnapping, admitted that the reason I wasn't allowed in my public lobby was so the security guard could talk to the cop, which does not call for my apprehension at all. Their conversation is not a private conversation while in public to begin with, and the officers do not have Fourth Amendment privacy protections while on the job ever. A security guard having a conversation with a cop does not provide me of any of my rights in any way, and the concept that it does is laughable. It is laughable that a supervisor, AI wouldn't put that in, that a supervisor has this poor of an understanding of the law. It can be expected that the public servants were conspiring against me, which is why their conversation needed to be kept secret. And I believe that this is cognizance of guilt for that course of action, which is standard operating procedure for police departments around the country and perfectly reasonable for any reasonable person to expect. If someone claims that it is unreasonable to assume, then I would like to point out that I was not taken to a private area to get my story straight. Possibly another violation of equal protection under the law, 14th Amendment. Standard operating procedure is criminal with this department and most police departments, I'd say. Probably should have made that clear.
Yeah, definitely, man. They just don't want to hear it, man, because they think that they're the boss. They've gotten so far out of line that they're so far out and literally in left field that there's no way to bring them back except with a leash. That's really it.
Does OPD have jurisdiction, Ontario Police Department? At this federal building. Is this a federal building? I actually don't even know. It might be a state building. I don't know. Does anyone know what a Social Security building is? All right, can you hear me?
Yep.
Do you know if a Social Security building is federal or what?
Yeah, I would imagine it would be federal. Yeah, I mean, they're the ones that deal with that. That's the Social Security.
But
yeah,
there's a state aspect to it. I don't really know. I would guess that OPD doesn't have a professional police rating and would need to be a better trained group to attempt law enforcement activities on federal property, since even the lieutenant knew the law so poorly that he couldn't understand the first law of this country, which is freedom of speech and the right to redress grievances with my government. And then immediately his men all got arrested for crimes that I am affirming under threat of perjury, and to top it off, he did nothing about it, which is just disgraceful. With the violations of law, remember, he took an oath to that.
He took an oath and he broke it in every instance. He committed crimes against his oath.
On camera, like it's nothing,
God,
guys.
Unbelievable.
And people like that commenter that we were talking about earlier, he would go for it. He would be like, yeah, you serve them. You exist so that the government people can start fights with foreigners and do a bunch of weird crap. So, where am I?
Spend our money on nonsense.
So, let's see. Which isn't just disgraceful with the violations of law and policy, it's criminal. But he did accuse me of a crime with no evidence, injured complainant, or damages of any kind, and just took the hearsay of a unhinged oath breaker, possibly guilty of being armed when there is a law restricting that. I saw it on the door. I didn't read it. It's in the video, though, I think. I never actually found out what the lieutenant was accusing me of. Oh, by the way, about the firearm, I have a Second Amendment. Okay? States have a restriction on making laws violating that. Congress has a restriction on making laws against it. The Supremacy Clause guarantees what the law is. All these men took an oath to the Second Amendment, in other words. So
Of course they did,
I
yeah.
can have whatever I want, personal protection device-wise, in here. It's protected under my property rights as well as the Second.
Yeah.
Even though they deny it, but still,
Of course they
that's a
deny
lie. And so now they want to pretend like, no, we have rights that you don't even have. No, that can't be true at all, because he doesn't have rights at all. Not with me. Not with me. Maybe with this government, but he's the government. So now all he's got is limitations and duties that he's going to refuse to do every time he's called. Every single time. That's the count so far. Oh, that's not my failure, guys. That's your failure.
Yeah, that's not a failure on your part. That's a failure on everyone else's part.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, you know that these people they double down and they ignore their duty and they ignore their oath and they're fucking criminals, man. Period.
They commit
End of
crimes against
story.
us every time. So I never actually found out what the lieutenant was accusing me of actually doing or saying, because he was just threatening me with violence, even though I kept asking him since he couldn't answer. But I think he just completely made up the fact that I was being disorderly, and he is a liar who needs to be Brady listed. I'm pretty sure that's what's going on with him. My Second Amendment protects me from the government, but he has no such protection. While I was perfectly calm, the security guard shut down the whole business and called men with guns to protect him from the guy that won't answer his questions. This guy has prohibited possessor written all over him, and each of these officers OPD sent probably falls into that category too. Admittedly, not to the guard's level of provocation and unrestrained fear. I'm fine with this event being charged as 18 U.S.C. 241, 242, conspiracy and deprivation of rights against under color of law. It was a gang of servants grouping up to conspire against the citizen whom the building exists to serve. So this event is a testament to the failure of government to check and balance our servants. SSA gave my identifying information to the OPD in violation of my privacy rights to be secure in my identity without a warrant to seize such, a fundamental right, and an investigation needs to be done into this activity, which comprises a violation of constitutional rights as well as conspiracy to violate constitutional rights. Just cited those ones. I agreed to be the injured complainant in such an investigation, and I do have damages, especially since my physical condition makes coming down to the office difficult. Right? They told me to leave. In other words, I have to go accomplish everything I need to do some other way, which is a hurdle for a disabled person, right? It's for the disabled, not for the mentally challenged that work here.
Right. Yeah, exactly, man. Mentally addled, more like.
Right.
Bunch of crazy bastards, man.
Let me finish this real quick. Difficult, as well as being physically manhandled, which is documented in security footage from SSA, as well as body cam from, I believe, all the officers, but also the security guard. What were you saying?
Oh, yeah, we need to wrap this up. I gotta go, in about 20 minutes, and I got a few things to do. Do you want to reconvene later?
I'm fine with that. I'm stuck. I have been really for quite a long time, but
yeah, I hate that for you, man.
Well, that's why this channel exists. I'm trying to share what I know before you can't learn from me. There's no one else to learn from. So, I mean, just look at how every single statement is just damning. What in the world? Over and over again, just one point after another. What in the world? So 6 solid pages of that.
Yeah, it's insane. These people are out of their minds, man. They're out of their minds and they're criminals. There's just no other description for them. All right, listen, man. Watch. I know you're going to be watching your mail, but watch for me after a while here.
I can't check my mail. Email. Yeah.
Just keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on your alerts, guys, and we'll be back later this afternoon, early evening, if things go well. If that doesn't, then
do we have any viewers? Can you tell?
Yeah, we got 5 in.
Oh, cool.
We got 5 right now. Yeah.
All right, guys. I think we're just gonna open it up. So I'm gonna use that text that I just showed you. Am I? Oh, okay. Okay, I'm back. Okay. I'm going to use that text that I just showed you to just ask ChatGPT to write me a state complaint. And that'll minimize the amount of jibber jabber that I was doing, maybe. Which, it needs a list of, it needs everything, organized, bullet pointed lists. And that's why I like just feeding stuff into ChatGPT. Also, with a state complaint, you don't write it about the federal crimes. You're not reporting those. I already reported this whole document to the feds, though, I believe. And so everything has been reported to them. But still, all of these state laws that I reported to them, if I was smart, I would have used ChatGPT to filter stuff like that out so that it's more concise and just right to the point, because that's not their jurisdiction to do state laws, right? Well, they didn't do anything about this. And also, one of these officers, Officer Herndon, he's the one that did the excessive use of force on me during my arrest, where they basically forced me onto the ground and then just started yanking and jerking on me on my shoulder to get me up. Like, dude, you caused this. You're going to fuck me up just to get me up. I can't really balance and stuff on my own. And so when you're pushing on me and stuff, it's easy to push me over. That's why it's such a big deal that these cops just think that they just push on you and stuff all the time. You're in charge of your body for a reason.
That's right. That's right. That's absolutely right. Again, they double down on everything they do, man. So they put their hands on you and then they throw you on the ground, and then maybe they beat you up or squash you to death. Depends on how bad they feel.
Days after that event that they pressed charges on me for the farmer's market, which, guys, 6 months later? Where's this complainant being like, I want to pay, he injured me, I need to be...
Yeah, there ain't one.
6 months later, they went and contacted these witnesses and tried to convince them into... How is this going to look on the stand exactly, guys? It looks terrible. Honestly, they're going to admit to a bunch of crimes if they put anyone on the stand.
Yeah.
But that was, that's for 2 different incidents. But it's related because this incident precipitated the warrant, even though it was 6 months later.
Right, the warrant that was illegitimate in the first place. All of it's nonsense. All of it's bullshit. All of it just needs to be dismissed. But the
motions hearing is like next week, so which is like right immediately before trial. Which I don't have a discovery.
So you are getting your motions hearing, and you may get some answers on discovery, huh? At that motions hearing.
Yeah, I put in a motion to compel the prosecution, and I'm not
paying
them either.
Yeah, you don't have to pay for it if you get a lawyer. Man, fuck you. That's public record. Yeah. It's part of my trial. That means you have to give it to me if I want it, if I need it, and you have to just go ahead and give it.
Force me to do business with them. My motion to suppress already says any information gathered without a warrant, so I don't really need to even see this discovery. Not really.
But yeah, it's all fruit of the poisonous tree anyway, because the warrant is illegitimate.
Yeah.
And they got no complainant.
Seizing my name in the first place is illegitimate. Everything precipitates from there. So
yeah, it's like a snowball going downhill, man. It just keeps collecting crimes. Every linear foot that this thing moves is more crimes. It's like listen, it's like a tennis ball rolled across the floor that's covered with dog hair. What you're going to have is a ball of dog hair at the end. And every single hair is a crime. And that's what they're doing. That's all they're doing, man.
For sure.
They're just... they're doing what socialists do, man. They double down and they commit more crimes. All right, man, listen. Great show. I'm hoping that I'm going to have time this evening. If not, we'll do another one tomorrow, okay? My voice is getting kind of ragged out, even though I didn't. It's hay fever season now, and I'm just jacked up by all this plant spew that's in the air. All right, I love you guys.
Benadryl?
Thanks for coming.
Oh.
Nah, fuck Benadryl. I'm not trying to be no zombie.
Yeah.
I'll suffer with it. It's
I
no
take
big deal.
It does knock you out all the time.
Yeah, I'm not trying. I don't have time to be knocked out now. I got to take care of these dogs. I got shit to do. Keep an eye on your notifications, fellas. Hopefully this evening. I'm not going to say 100%, but definitely tomorrow. All right, great show, Kennedy. Thanks for coming, guys. Remember, subscribe, like, comment, share. What you guys can do the most is share. Okay, we know that you're going to like and you're going to comment. You're already subbed, but share. All right, see you guys later. Doc out.
Later, guys.